Okay, this is Math 31, Section 4.5. In the last video, Section 4.4, we learned how to add and subtract fractions that had like denominators. Excuse me. In this one, we're going to be adding fractions or subtracting fractions that have different denominators. Now, you have to fix that. Technically, you can't add fractions until the denominators are common or matching. So the way to do this is, first of all, figure out what number would serve as a common multiple of 8 and 6. This will become what's called a least common denominator here. And so one way to do it here is to take 8, I'll show you a couple ways, 8 and 6, and pick the one that's bigger and its multiples. 8 times 2 is 16. 6 doesn't go into 8 or 16, but when you get to 24, 6 divides into 24. So that's a multiple of 8. It's 8 times 3. It's also a multiple of 6. It's 6 times 4. And eventually you might get to other numbers that work, like 48. But the least common denominator, or least common multiple in this case, is 24. So our goal here is to get a 24 down there and a 24 down there, and that's the LCD. Now it's pretty easy to do that. 8 times 3 would give 24, so we'll multiply top and bottom by 3. And 6 times 4 is 24, so here we multiply by 4, top and bottom. That'll take us down here to 3 over 24 and 20 over 24. And so we have 23 over 24 as our final answer. Okay, let's get practice doing a few more of these. The multiples of 9 are 9. 6 doesn't go into 9. And then 18, and already we've got one that works. 6 does go into 18. So here's our goal. We want to get 18s down there. So multiply this one by 3 to get it to turn into 18, and this one by 2 to get it to turn into 18. So we have 14 eighteenths minus 3 eighteenths would be 11 eighteenths. And just make sure that your answer here is simplified. And this one is. There's no number that would divide into 11 that also divides into 18. Okay, here, if you look at the denominators, the 7 and the 21, 7 already goes into 21, so we're going to leave that second fraction just like it is. But this first one, you have to make it times 3 here. So your common denominator is 21. And across the top, 3t plus a negative 3t is 3t. Okay, example D. We have a problem that if you saw my last video, it's familiar. We don't have a denominator, so we'll fix that really quickly here. And anytime you've got a 1 for a denominator, then the other number on the other side, that will be your least common denominator. So we're going to try and get a 6 underneath both of these. And since the second one already has that, we can just copy over there. All right, to make this 1 into a 6, you have to do this, times 6 on top and bottom. So our answer is going to have a common denominator of 6. However, we're in trouble up here across the top here. I'm going to have to extend this a little bit. You may notice here, hopefully you do, that this term and this term, one has a variable and the other doesn't. So you can't put those together. You just have to write it as the subtraction that it is, 48 minus 5t. And there's nothing more you can do. I'll caution you that you can't cancel just part of it. So for instance, this canceling here would mess up your answer. Anytime there's a minus or plus, you can't cancel on either side of it. Okay, 3/4 minus 1k. We don't know what k is. It's some number. We do know what 4 is. So what's the common multiple of these? Well, when you're desperate, just multiply by the other one on both sides. So k and k. And then over here times 4 and times 4. And that'll take us down to 4k underneath both of them. So we've got our common denominator there. And once you have that established, sorry about that, let me get rid of that little dot. Okay, let me fix it there. And then over here, we have our 4k. The top is 3k, and on the other side right here, you get 4. So we're ready to make a common denominator out of this. 4k is our common denominator. And across the top, we can't do anything about the fact that one has a variable and the other doesn't. So we just write it as 3k minus 4 and we're done. And once again, I'll caution you not to cancel next to a minus sign. So this would mess up your problem if you did that. You just have to leave it like that. Okay, example F. We've got 3 fractions, one with a denominator 2, another one with 3, and the last one with 8. So if you think about the multiples of 8, I'll write them down here. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. The first one, I think that all 3 of them go into is 24. So let's make them all 24ths. And the answer is going to be 24ths also, unless we have to simplify later. Okay, to make the bottom into 24 here, you go times 12. Here it's times 4. And lastly, this one's times 3. So 12p plus 4p is 16. 16p minus 9p is 7p. And there's nothing that cancels out of that problem. Okay, another use for this information is comparing the size of fractions. So which one's bigger, which one's smaller, that sort of thing. And we're going to put a less than sign or maybe a greater than sign in between the 2 fractions in these problems in order to make a true statement out of it. Now, it's hard to compare fractions when their denominators don't match. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this by 2 and this by 9, and that'll get my common denominator going here of 36. So we get 50 on this one and 27 on this one. So I think it's pretty obvious that 50 is greater than 27, or the other way around, 27 is less than 50. But you can only make that comparison when they're dealing with the same size pieces, in other words, 36ths. Okay, I think on this one here, if we take the 18, oh gosh, what are the multiples of 18? 18, 36, that's a multiple of 12. We're in business here. So double that and triple this one. You get negative 18, 36. And over here you also get 36. Negative 20. The one that's further to the left is at negative 20, so it's a smaller one. Okay, so that's the sort of thinking you have to do here. Further to the left on a number line, that's what I should say. If you plotted negative 18 on a number line and negative 20 on a number line, the negative 20 is less because it'll be on the left. Okay, evaluate for x equals 2/3 and y equals 3/8. So we're supposed to do y minus x. Now there's double negative going on here, so I'll fix that right away. And then I think the multiple of 8 that works with 3 down here would be 24. So I'll triple this. That'll give me 24 on the bottom. And then I'll multiply this one by 8. So we have 24ths, we have 9 and 16 is 25 24ths. You could write it as 1 and 1/24. Okay, so x minus 2y in this problem would be negative 2/3 minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and put it like this as a fraction 2 over 1 times the y, which is 3/8. Now you have to do the multiplication first, so we got 2/3 here minus 6 over 8. And I'm going to multiply this one by 3 to get 24, because I know that I've used that one before. That takes me down to negative 16 over 24. Minus 18 over 24, which is negative 34 over 24. And we'll divide these both by 2. Okay, the last problem here is, I take that back. There's 2 more. I'm going to, in the interest of time, do this fairly quickly here, but we're going to add the side lengths all the way around. We'll start with that 5/8 going clockwise here. And once we get that side, we'll do this side. So plus 1/4. And then plus another side down here of 5/8. And another side here of 1/4. Okay, so if I multiply these by 2 and these by 2, it'll have the effect of giving us 8ths all the way down. So how many 8ths are there? Well, I think you can count 14 up there. And dividing by 2 here would give 7/4. So we cancel there. Dividing by 2 and dividing by 2. Okay, this will be the last problem here. And I'm just going to show you how to set this up. The diameter all the way across this pipe, you're looking at maybe a copper pipe that's 7/8 inches wide. And it's got a 1/16 inch of copper. So this little area right here is 1/16. There's another one right there. So we're asking how to get from the larger outside diameter down to the smaller inside diameter when you know the thickness is a 1/16 of an inch on both sides. Well, this is just a subtraction problem. 7/8 minus 1/16 minus another 1/16. So if you get a common denominator here by multiplying by 2, you get 14/16 minus 1/16 minus another 1/16 gives 12/16. And dividing top and bottom by 4 gives 3/4. So your answer here is 3/4. Okay, I hope that little quick little video helps you do your homework. You'll find that these exercises parallel the problems from your assignment quite well. Okay, thank you and have a good evening.